So this video is looking at naming organic molecules, specifically looking at naming alkanes and alkenes. There are other videos on naming compounds with other functional groups in them later, and with two functional groups in them. Okay, but we're going to look at this one, just naming alkanes and alkenes. So it's a real good introduction to naming organic molecules. You may well have heard the term nomenclature, which just means the naming process. You may be asked in an exam to give a compound its IUPAC name, which again is just the name according to the set of rules that we're going to discuss today, or the systematic name, which is the same thing again. It's just the name following the set of rules that we're going to go through today. So let's look at the very first thing that you should do when you're naming an organic molecule, and that is to find what we call the longest continuous carbon chain. And that term continuous will be a little bit clearer whenever we go through the first few slides. Anyway, when you're looking for that longest continuous carbon chain, if we did something back sort of like a GCSE, you would have had a molecule like that, and you would have looked at it and you would have went, yeah, there's 4 carbons in that. Okay, so therefore the code for that is bute. Okay, and you would have then said, okay, it's all straight chain, so it's butane. It's all carbon-carbon single bonds. Okay, so it's a butane. Okay, now you might think, well, when is there not a continuous chain? But we'll come across things in a little second now that are not continuous chains. Now, the second thing that you will look for is within that hydrocarbon that we just looked at there, you'll be looking for, do things only have single bonds or do they have double bonds? So for example, if we redrew this molecule here, which is a 3 carbon, okay, so if we go back to our code, that means it is prop. Probably be a good idea if you pause the video and took a photograph of this slide and kept it to the one side, because you're going to use this slide loads later on, or I'm going to use it loads when I'm going through questions, and it'll be a good idea if you had this or something very similar by your side. Now, if we look at this one beside it, this is also 3 carbons. So these are both going to be prop, so they're going to have a prefix of prop. This one on the left only has single bonds in it, so it's an AN. The one on the right, if you look at it, has a double bond in it, so it's an EN, and they're both hydrocarbons. This is an alkane and the one on the right is an alkene. So we have propane on the left and a 3 carbon alkane, and propane on the right. So that's the next thing you would do. Check for double bonds, check for only single bonds. The next thing you'll do is look, and this is completely new to us, we're going to locate what we call alkyl groups or side chains. And for example, we have 3 of them on the board. I don't think at AS level you'll go much, if at all, beyond these 3. So we have what we call a methyl group, which is a 1 carbon side chain, an ethyl group, which is a 2 carbon side chain, and of course then a propyl group, which is a 3 carbon side chain. And again, you'll see that we are using the codes that we learnt on this slide that I have on the board now. Okay, so for example, if I went back to my compound here, let me just tidy this up and get rid of the name. And if I said, let's just change the structure of this one on the left. First thing we do is we always look for the longest unbroken or longest continuous chain. Okay, and that is 3 carbons. You can see that the carbon at the bottom here, that I'm going to highlight in green, is not part of the longest chain. That is what we call an alkyl group or a side chain. And that is a 1 carbon alkyl group, so that is a methyl group. So my compound here would be called methyl propane. Okay, and that's important that you don't just count the number of carbons and go, oh, there's 4 carbons, therefore it's a butane. It isn't 4 carbons in its longest continuous chain. Right, then we have to work out if there's more than one of these alkyl chains or more than one functional group. And if there is, we have to give that the appropriate, what we call prefix again. So is it a di or a tri, or is it a tetra? So I'll do an example of that. It'll make it clearer than just. So if I took that molecule, if you look at the longest chain, you'll see it's 5 carbons, okay? So just naming that straight across from left to right. So 5 carbons is pent. It's all single bonds, so it's N. It's a hydrocarbon, so it ends with E. But I have this group down here, and I'm going to put another group here. Okay, so I have 2 alkyl groups, or 2 side chains. They're both methyl groups. Okay, so I have one of them on number 2 carbon and one of them on number 4 carbon. So I have 2, 4 hyphen, and this time, because we have more than one of them, we're writing dimethyl pentane. So that's where, if we had a third one, so if I put another one on here, okay, we would now have 2, 3, 4 trimethyl pentane. Okay, hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Right, so we're going to have a look at some of these now, guys, and we're going to do some examples. And hopefully by the time I do the examples, you've got a really good idea of what we're talking about here. Now, what I would say is, when you start getting a picture of what I'm talking about, is when I go into a new slide or a new structure, you pause that video and you have a go at it yourself, and then you check your answer against mine. So let's follow the rules that I spoke about earlier. All right, and those rules were, we first of all find the longest continuous chain, which is 3. So we have a prop. We have all single carbon bonds, so it's an An. It's an alkane, so it's ending with E. And I have one side chain, which is here. That's a 1 carbon side chain. So that is a methyl propane. We could put the number 2 there, okay, because it's on the 2nd carbon. That's not necessary, because by default that can only be in position number 2. You'll notice I've put a hyphen in here, and we always put a hyphen between numbers and letters, okay, and that's a really important rule. If you ignore that or you don't do that, you will lose your mark. Let's look at this one. So the examiner here has been a little bit sneaky, because a lot of people will think, oh, there's just 3 carbons in that, okay, but there isn't. Okay, 3 carbons in the longest chain, I should say. There isn't. If I do this, that is 4 carbons, and that is still a continuous chain, guys. Okay, so 4 carbons is bute. It's only carbon single bonds. It's an alkene hydrocarbon. So we put the E on the end, and then we have one side chain which is not on the main continuous chain. That's a CH3, so that's a methyl. It's a 1 carbon side chain. Now again, the 2, it's on the 2nd carbon along. We label from the left or we label from the right, but we always label our number from the side that gives us the lowest possible number. So it would be left to right this time. So it's a number 2. But again, we can't have any such thing as 3-methylbutane. If there's only 1 methyl group, it has to be in 2. So in actual fact, that's not needed. I'll show you why we can't have 3-methylbutane, guys. So if I put it on the 3rd carbon here, again, I would actually have to label from this direction this time, which would make that the 2nd carbon. So that would be 2-methylbutane. So obviously making things a little bit more challenging here, but again, we follow the system, guys. We should be able to name these very, very easily. So let's look at our longest carbon chain. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very simple. There's no way that that's in the longest chain. So that's not in the continuous chain. So 7, if we go back to our table from earlier, 7 is hept. It's all single carbon bonds, and it's an alkane, so it's heptane. I have a 2 carbon side chain this time. 2 carbon side chains are ethyl groups, and this is on position number, if I label left to right, it's on number 4, and if I label right to left, it's also on number 4, so it is 4 hyphen ethyl heptane. And I have to put the number in this time, because you could possibly have an ethyl group on number 3 as well, so you must make sure clear there's no ambiguity in your answer or your name compared to the structure. Let's look at this one. You can see here now we're into things with more than 1 group in it, so let's find our longest chain. It's very conveniently just across the screen, left to right. We have a side chain there, and we have a side chain here. So we have 2 different side chains this time. We have a methyl side chain here, and we have an ethyl side chain there. So our longest chain is hept again, so we're on 7. We're all carbon-carbon single bonds, so we're AN, and we're an alkane, sorry. Okay, right, we have a methyl and we have an ethyl. Let's number left to right. If we number left to right, our numbers are 4 and 5, and if we number right to left, our numbers are 3 and 4. So we always use the lowest combination of numbers. So in this case, 3 and 4. So do we write the 3 first or the 4 first? Well, we actually always put it in alphabetical order. So the ethyl group will come first, and the methyl group will come second. Now they are in numerical order as well, so that'll be 3 hyphen ethyl hyphen 4 hyphen methyl heptane. So the whole name of that molecule is as so. Okay, making sure you put your hyphens in, guys. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So again, let's find our longest carbon chain, and again it is nice conveniently straight across the page. It's not always, sometimes you have to go in a sort of a circuitous route to get it, but not in this instance. And we have 2 side chains we can see. Let's find out what the names of our side chains are. Well, there's one we've met several times now. We know that's a methyl. This one has 3 carbons in it, so that's a propyl. Our longest hydrocarbon chain is 8 carbons, so that is oct. It's all single carbon bonds, and it's an alkene, so it is octane. Methyl group is on position list labeled from this side. We have number 3, and this would be a number 5. If we label from the right to the left, we would have a 4 and a 6. So we're going to take our numbers at 3 and 5. Okay, we have a methyl before propyl in terms of alphabetical order. So we'll put our methyl and our propyl in. Our methyl is on number 3. Our propyl is on number 5. So that is 3 methyl 5 propyl octane. Let's look at this one. Our longest chain we have is 7, so it's a hept. It's all carbon single bond, so it's an alkene. Okay, so it is an alkane, so it's ending with an E. And we have methyl group here, and methyl group here. Sometimes people see 2 carbon methyl groups on the same carbon, and they call that an ethyl group. It's not an ethyl group. It's 2 different methyl groups, so just be careful. If we use our numbers, we go number 3 and number 5, so it'll be actually 3, 3 because we've 2 groups on it. And if we label from the other side, it'll be 3 and then 5, 5. So we use the 3, 3, 5. So we go 3, 3, 5. We have 3 methyl groups, so it's trimethyl heptane. Okay, so again, I don't know if I mentioned this yet or not, we have commas between numbers, and I have mentioned certainly our hyphens between numbers and letters. Let's look at this one. So again, our longest chain is 4, so we're going to have a bute. We have 2 CH3 groups. Numbering in this direction, we would have 3, 3. Numbering in this direction, we would have 2, 2. So we always go to 2, 2. So it is 2, 2. I have methyl groups, but I have 2 of them this time. So I need to remember to put my dimethyl in there. And it's a bute. It's all carbon-carbon single bonds, and it's an alkane. So it's a 2, 2 dimethyl butane. This one, longest carbon chain, we can hopefully see very quickly, is a 3. So that's a prop. We have again alkyl groups here. So we have 2 methyl groups, so that is a dimethyl. The prop is all single bond, so it's an an, and it's an alkane, so it's an Ne. We don't need any numbers on here. Some people might think we need 2, 2, but we don't, because the methyl groups can only be on number 2 in a methyl and a propane, sorry. Okay, let's look at this one. Let's look at our longest chain. Our longest chain, very simple. Okay, we can see it is in the green. Okay, and we have 2 side chains this time. Okay, so let's name it. First of all, our longest chain is 5. Let's change the colour of that. 5 is a pent, It's all single bonds, and it's an alkane. If we number, no matter what side we number from, the substitutions are in number 3. So we have 3, comma, 3, hyphen. This time it's a diethyl pentane. Okay, let's look at this one. So our longest chain is no longer in a straight line. If we go, we find our longest chain is as so. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 10 on that chain this time. So that gives us a decane. Okay, we have side groups there and there. No matter where I number them, they are on number 5. So I have an ethyl group here, and I have the one that we've met nearly a lot of times now. So again, we put these in alphabetical order. We have an ethyl, and we have a methyl. They're both on number 5, so we have 5 hyphen, hyphen, 5 hyphen, methyl decane. Let's look at this one. So longest chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've got 9 in our longest chain. A few people may not get that, so just be careful. Always look for that longest continuous chain. So 9 is none. It's all single bonds. It's an alkane. We have a side group there and a side group there. This one is a methyl. This one is an ethyl. Let's go and check our numbers. So this would be a number 4 and a 6 going that way, and then the other way would be a 4 and a 6. So we give our 4 to the ethyl because it's first in alphabetical order. So let's just do that. So that is a 4 hyphen ethyl hyphen 6 methyl, and that is a nonane. Okay, so here's a few just drawing them out. So I'll draw them out very quickly, and you can check them against mine. So you maybe want to pause the video and have a go at these. Okay, so that's the first one. All right, I'm not drawing in all my hydrogen, guys. Obviously in an exam you would have to draw in all the bonds and all the hydrogens. I'm not going to take time to do that. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, then there's a non one, 2, 9. We have a 2 methyl, also. Next one is a pent, so we have a 5. It's a 3,3 dimethyl, so I have a carbon there and a carbon there. Next one is also a pent. It's a 3 ethyl pent. Okay, like so. And then the final one is a hept. So it's 7. We have a 3 ethyl. And we have a 2 methyl. Okay, so that is the final one. Hopefully you're getting these all by now. We're going to look at some alkenes now. Okay, so the only thing that changes now is, let's go through the process that we went through earlier. We find our longest unbroken chain, which is in this instance a 4. So that's a bute. We now know that it has a double bond in it, so it's ene, and it's an alkene, so it ends with E. Now our double bond is on position number, no matter what side I label it from, it's on position number 2. So I have to put a number in now to show where the functional group is. I have 2 other groups here. They are on positions number 2 and 3, and they're my alkyl methyl groups. So I have 2, 3 hyphen di methyl, and that's a butene. So your whole name is in brackets there now. Let's look at this one. So let's number again. We've got our double bond here, we can see it. So it's a number 3 in that direction, or I go in that direction, so it's a number 2. The functional group always gets the highest priority with regards the numbers, so this is going to be a number 2. 5 carbons in the longest chain, so that's a pent. It's a 2, and it's a carbon-carbon double bond in it, and it's a hydrocarbon, so it ends with E. I have number 2 for my methyl group, and number 4, I can remember, if you start labeling the functional group in that direction, everything else must be labeled in that direction 2. So I have a 2, comma 4 hyphen, and that's a dimethyl pentatone. Let's look at this one. So my longest carbon chain, I must include the functional group in it. Okay, so I can't go up and include this in my longest chain. I have to go with the one that has the functional group in it, okay, which is 5. So that's a pent. The functional group is on number 1 here, I can see. So it's a pent 1-ene. My side chains, I have 3 of them. Okay, so 2 of them are methyls, these 2 here, and this one is an ethyl. Okay, so let's put our ethyl in first, and then let's put I have 2 methyls. So I'm going to have to write dimethyl. Some people might go, but D is before E in alphabetic order. It doesn't matter if it's a dimethyl. We compare the methyl to the ethyl, so E is before M. That's what we're after. So we have our methyls on 2 and 4. Okay, so left myself a bit tight for space here, but we'll get them in. Okay, and we have our ethyl on number 3. So that compound would be called 3-ethyl 2,4-dimethyl pent 1-ene. I'll do another few, and then hopefully you've got the picture now. Longest chain is straight across the page very nicely, and our 2 side chains are off that. You should be able to recognize these side chains pretty well now. We have a methyl here and we have an ethyl there. Our longest chain is 5, so we have a pent. Okay, we've obviously got a double bond and it's an alkene. Our functional group is on number 2, getting the lowest number, so that's going to be a 2. Everything is labelled then off that, so there's a 3 and a 4, so we have an ethyl. And we have 1 methyl. Okay, so that is number 4, and this is number 3. 3-ethyl 4-methyl pent 2-ene. So look at this one again. Our longest chain is conveniently along there, and we have 3 side chains. They're all the same. Okay, so they're all methyl groups. So let's deal with our longest chain first. That's a pent. The double bond is on number 1. Okay, and our methyl groups are on number 3 and number 4, 4. So we have 3, 4, 4. This time we've 3 of them, so it's a tri-methyl pent 1-ene. So your name is in brackets. This one, longest carbon chain, 4 carbons. Double bond is on the first carbon. Methyl groups, I have 2 of them on 3, so I have 3, 3 hyphen di methyl but 2-ene. Okay, next one, longest carbon chain. Just be careful it's not down there or up there. It isn't. I've already oh, sorry, it is actually. Okay, so my longest carbon chain, let's just get that correct, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would only be 5 along that direction, so just be careful there. Okay, so we've got 6, so that means we have a hex. The functional group gets the lowest number, so it's a 1. Ene, okay. We have our side chains here and here, so we have an ethyl, and we have a methyl. Okay, so our ethyl is on number 3. Remember, we label from number 1 being here. Oh, we have another methyl group there actually. Okay, so we have an ethyl on number 3, so I'm going to put a 3 there. I have a methyl on number 2 and 4. Okay, so that is 2, 4. Okay, oh, and I should, of course, I've run out of space there. Okay, so I need to put a di in front of the methyl there. Okay, Let's look at the next one. So my longest chain again is straight across the page. Just double checking that it is indeed. Okay, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's a 7 carbon chain, so it's a hept. It has a double bond and it's an alkene, so it's ending with ENE. My lowest number that I can give to it is labeling from right to left, and that gives me number 3, so it's a hept 3ene. Alkyl groups are all over the place in this. So I have 3 methyl groups, 1, 2, and 3, and 2 ethyl groups here and here. So let's go diethyl here, and let's go trimethyl here. My methyls are on, remember I have to number in this direction, so they are on 2, 2, 3, so that's 2, 2, 3. Commas and hyphens in place, okay, and my diethyls are on 5, and again 5, 5, diethyl, 2, 2, 3, trimethyl, hept 3ene. Pretty long name, that one. Right, we're now going to look at alkenes, but we're going to look at alkenes now which have more than one double bond. Okay, we're also going to use skeletal formula here, so you need to make sure that you are aware of and know how skeletal formula works. So if we just remind ourselves of skeletal formula, where we draw in everything but carbons and hydrogens that are directly attached to carbons. So we've got the CH2 units at the end. If we work out what we would have then, we would have a carbon here attached to 1, we would have a carbon to 2, we would have a carbon to 2 hydrogens, carbon to 2 hydrogens, carbon to 1 hydrogen. So we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've 7 in our longest chain. It's a hept. It's an ene because we can see double bonds, and it's an alkene, so it ends with E. Now, let's look at where our double bonds are. They are on the first carbon, and if we number this way, they are on the 6th carbon. If I number the other way, they're on exactly the same. So I've got 2 double bonds, so I have to put in this time diene. I have to put my numbers in 1, 6 hyphen. But because this time, and this is something you need to be careful of, because this time I have my suffix, my ending with a starting with a consonant, my prefix, my start, cannot end with a consonant. So the convention is here we put an A in there. So when you have a diene or a triene, your prefix will end with A, so it'll be hepta, hexa, penta. Okay? Something like that. So be careful of that. Lots of people forget that, and that costs them a mark. Again, you might want to pause these videos and do these yourselves. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in our longest chain. Okay, so it's a hex. I have double bonds. It doesn't matter what end I label from, they will be on number 2, 3, 2, and 4. So it's hex. It's 2 double bonds in it, so it's a diene. There are 2 and 4, and remember, I have to put my A in. This one, I've got more than one double bond, and then I've also got some side chains to deal with as well. So here and here. Okay, so my longest chain is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a hex. Okay, my double bonds are on number 2 and number 4, and that doesn't matter what direction I go in, they are on number 2 and number 4. So we have a hex, we have 2 double bonds, so we are going to go diene. We have them on 2 and 4. We have to put our A in, but we have 2 methyl groups as well. Our methyl group here is in 2, and our methyl group here is in 5. So we have a 2, 5 hyphen di methyl hexa 2, 4 diene. Okay, this one nice and straightforward, no side chains to deal with this time. We have 5 carbons in our longest chain, so we have a penta. We have 2 double bonds, so we have a pentadiene. We put the A in. We should be getting used to the A going in now, and they are on number 1 And number 3, remembering our hyphens and our commas, penta 1, 3 diene. Next one, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is oct. Now we have 3 double bonds, so we're into our trianes, so 3 of them. Our numbers there on number 1 there, number 3 there, and number 6. So we have a 1, 3, 6. Remember our A goes in again, so that's octa 1, 3, 6 triene. This one just drawn a little bit awkwardly to try and throw you off, guys. Nothing major here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have a CH3 here and here. We have our double bonds on number 2, number 4, and number 6. So once we get the sort of the system, guys, we should be dead easy in terms of naming it. So we had, what was it, 8 again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 8. So we have oct, we have octa, and we have a triene. Okay, we have numbers of 2, 4, and 6. Hyphens in. We have methyl groups on 2 and 6. So we have 2, 6. Remembering it's 2 methyl, so it's dimethyl octa. Okay. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is part of the longest chain as well. So 7. So we are on hepta. Okay, in fact, I'll just move it down here to give me some more space. We are on hepta. We have 2 double bonds, so we're on a diene. Okay, let's get our numbers right. So we're on number 2, going that way. 3, 4, 5, 2, 5. Let's check our numbers the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it doesn't matter. There are positions 2 and 5. Remembering our A, remembering our diene. So that's a hepta 2, 5 diene. Let's look at this molecule here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are on hepta again. Okay, this is not on the longest chain. We have to include our functional group in the longest chain. We have 2 double bonds. We have hepta, and I have a diene. They are on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 5, always giving them the lowest numbers. We have this group here, which was a methyl group, so that is a 2 methyl hepta 1, 5 diene. Let's look at this one. So longest chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're on a hept again. So we're on a hept. We have 2 double bonds, so it's going to be hepta. Our double bonds are in position 2, 3, 4, 2 and 5. 2 and 5, it's going to be a diene because I have 2 double bonds in there. Okay, I have 2 alkyl side chains. They're both methyls, and they are on 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 6. 2, 6. Di, should have a hyphen in there. Dimethyl hepta 2, 5 diene. Next one, you can see that immediately we've got a triene. Let's get our numbers right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 1 on number 1 here, 2, 3, 4 there, and 9. If we go the other way, we have number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. So we use the 1, 4, 9. Always going by our lowest numbers. So we have a, what did I say, 10? Oh yeah, 10. So we have a deca. We have a 1 and a 4 and a 9. 3 double bonds, so that's a triene. Okay, so last 1 or 2, hopefully, guys, and I've kind of exhausted all possibilities here. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have a deca. Okay, so deca, because we have got 3 double bonds, it's going to be a triene with no side chains, so we don't need to worry about getting those. we're going to have to start counting from this end here. 1, 2, 3, and 5. So we have a 1, 3, 3, 5. Don't forget our hyphens. So deca, 1, 3, 5. Triene. Oh my word. Right, let's have a look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we have 10. So it's a deca. We have a 2 carbon side chain ethyl. We have a 1 carbon side chain methyl. Let's get our numbers right. So 1, 2, 3 there. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If we go the other way, we have a 3, 5, and 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 for my first methyl going that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be my ethyl going that way. So we're going to number coming this direction here. Okay, so let's get first of all our numbers. I think it was 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, so it's a 10. It's a deca. It's got more than 1 double bond, so it's a deca. It's got 3 double bonds, so it's a triene. They are on numbers 3, 5, 7. So 3, 5, 7. I have a methyl on 4 and an ethyl on 6. So I'm going to go 6. Ethyl, remember it's alphabetical order. 4. Methyl, deca, 3, 5, 7. Triene. Okay, the very last one, I've put in a little OH group here just for a bit of fun. You maybe see if you can do this. Remember, OHs are alcohols. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have a 12. That is a deca. We have more than 1 double bond, so there's an A in there. Let's find out. This is our priority functional group. So this is going to be number 1. So my double bonds are on number 2. I'll just write that in. 3, 4, 5. Number 6. And number 10. Okay, that is of course a triene. I have here an OH group on number 1. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm going to have to change this a little bit. So it's a triene 1 all. So that is, you'll notice I dropped the E from here, guys. That's because I have an O here, so I can't have vowel to vowel. So the E goes. So that's a dodeca, 2, 6, 10, triene 1 all. Wow, I hope you don't get that one. Okay. Hopefully that clears up lots of things in terms of naming, guys. And you are now a lot more confident with your alkanes, your alkenes. And there's more videos on naming more complicated things, but that should give you a really good understanding of the fundamentals.